The sun is going down, and you are not ready. You are never quite ready. There is no clock, but everyone in the group can read the light, and the light is saying the same thing it says every single evening. You have about 40 minutes. 40 minutes to get the wood in. 40 minutes to get everyone counted. 40 minutes before the world you can see shrinks down to the size of a room. Because here's the part that is difficult to feel from inside a lit house. For almost the entire history of our species, night was not a time. It was a place. A place you could not see into, could not move through safely, and could not leave until morning. And you went there every day of your life. 14 hours in winter, 10 in summer, every night for 200,000 years. That is not a gap in the story of human beings. Measured honestly, it is close to half the story, and almost nobody ever asks what happened in it. Now, if you have ever thought about this at all, you probably have a picture in your head already. It goes something like this. The sun goes down. Everyone crawls into the shelter. They sleep deeply, naturally for 10 or 11 glorious hours, the way humans were supposedly designed to. And then they wake at dawn, rested in a way no modern person has ever been. It is a lovely picture. It is on the cover of 100 books about how modern life has ruined us. And as far as anyone can actually measure, it is wrong. Not slightly wrong. Wrong in the opposite direction. In 2015, a team led by the sleep researcher Jerome Siegel did something that had somehow never been done properly. Instead of guessing what pre-industrial sleep looked like, they went and measured it. They put activity trackers on people in 3 societies with no electricity, no artificial light, and no alarm clocks. The Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, and the Tsimane in Bolivia. 3 groups, 3 continents, no contact with each other. The 3 groups slept, on average, 6.4 hours a night. The range across all of them ran from about 5.7 hours to about 7.1. Read that again, because it undoes something you have been told your whole life. People living without a single electric light, without screens, without work emails, were not sleeping 10 hours. They were sleeping about as much as you do. On average, slightly less. And the second finding is the one that opens this entire video. They did not go to sleep when the sun went down. Across all 3 societies, sleep began roughly 3.3 hours after sunset. 3 hours. Every night. In the dark. Now, if you know one fact about historical sleep, it is probably not that one. It is probably this, that people used to sleep in 2 shifts. A first sleep, then an hour or 2 awake in the middle of the night, then a second sleep. And that is real. The historian Roger Kirch found hundreds of references to it, in diaries, in court records, in medical writing, in novels, scattered across early modern Europe. People woke around midnight. They prayed, talked, tended the fire, visited neighbors, and went back down. So we have 2 solid findings that appear to contradict each other. European records say sleep came in 2 pieces. Trackers on living hunter-gatherers say it comes in 1. Both are well evidenced. Both cannot be universal. And the way out is geography. The Hadza, the San, and the Tsimane all live close to the equator, where the night runs about 12 hours all year. 17th century Europeans lived far to the north, where a winter night runs 16 hours or more. If you are lying in the dark for 16 hours, you cannot sleep through all of it. Nobody can. Your body takes what it needs and hands the rest back, and you are left awake in the middle of the night with hours to fill. Which means the famous 2 sleep pattern is probably not an ancient human birthright we have lost. It looks more like what happens to any people who end up with more darkness than sleep. Not our natural state. A northern winter problem solved by lying there. So the question is not really what did ancient humans do all night. Most of the night, like you, they were unconscious. The question is what happened in those 3 hours, the ones after the light failed and before anyone lay down. Because that block of time is not a leftover. It is an invention, and it may be the most important thing our species ever built. Think about what darkness does to an animal. Ends the day. For almost everything alive, the failure of light is a hard stop. You stop foraging, you stop traveling, you find somewhere defensible, and you shut down until the sun fixes the problem. Night is not time you own, it is time you survive. Fire changes that, and it changes it in a very specific way. Fire does not make you safe, and it does not make you warm enough to matter in most climates. What fire does is much stranger. It creates a small, portable bubble of daytime, and it holds it open for a few hours after the world is closed. We have been doing this for an extraordinarily long time. There's burnt bone and ash deep inside Wonderwork Cave in South Africa that may go back 1,000,000 years, though how deliberate that fire was is still argued over. The evidence gets much harder to dispute later. Hearts used again and again in the same spot at Kizim Cave in Israel around 300,000 years ago. By then, this was not a lucky accident. It was a habit. And here is a detail that matters more than it sounds. Firelight is dim, and it is deeply orange. Nothing like the light you're probably reading this by. That color barely touches the chemistry that makes you sleepy. So the ancient evening did not fight the body the way ours does. They got 3 extra hours, and they did not pay for them with insomnia. We took the same trick, made the light bright blue, pointed it directly at our faces, and have been paying for it ever since. So what do they do with it? We actually have a good answer, and it comes from listening. The anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years among the Jew/Hoansi in the Kalahari, and she did something simple and brilliant. She recorded what people talked about, and she sorted it by time of day. She ended up comparing 174 conversations, day against night. Daytime talk was, frankly, a bit grim. It was logistics, who has what, but did not pull their weight. Complaints, arrangements, the low-grade management of a group of people who cannot get away from each other. Useful, necessary, not inspiring. After dark, around the fire, the subject changed almost completely. People told stories. They talked about people who were not there, relatives in distant camps, people they had known years ago, the dead. They talked about hunts that had gone wrong and marriages that had gone worse. They sang. They healed arguments from that afternoon that nobody could have raised in daylight without a fight. And you can see immediately why the fire did that. In the dark, you cannot work, so nobody is half doing something else. You cannot see faces clearly, which makes hard things easier to say. Nobody can leave. Everyone is pointed inward at the same warm thing for hours with nothing to do but talk to each other. That is not downtime. That is a transmission system. Every evening, the entire inventory of what the group knew, where the water is in a bad year, which plants will kill you, who your cousins are 4 valleys away, how a person is supposed to behave, got handed from the people who had it to the people who did not. Not written down, told again and again until it stuck. A culture that does that every night for 100 generations can carry knowledge further than any individual memory. The campfire was not a nice way to end the day. It was a hard drive. Now we get to the part that genuinely surprised the researchers who found it, because eventually the talking stops and everybody lies down. And what happens next is not what anyone assumed. In 2017, a team led by David Sampson put trackers on a Hadza community and watched, minute by minute, across 20 nights. They were looking for a simple thing. How often is everyone in the group asleep at the same time? Across those 20 nights, thousands of minutes of darkness, they found 18 individual minutes in which every single adult was asleep simultaneously. For 99.8% of the night, somebody in that camp was awake. And nobody had organized it. There was no rota, no watch assigned, no one told to take the 3rd shift. It happened by itself. Here's why. People do not all run on the same clock, and the differences are not random. They track age. Older adults wake early and sleep lightly. Adolescents and young adults stay up late, and struggle to get going in the morning. In a group spanning every age, those clocks overlap at the edges. The grandmother is stirring at 4 in the morning. The teenagers have not gone down until well past midnight. Between them, they cover the night. Researchers call this the sentinel effect, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it, because it reframes two things you have probably filed as problems. Your grandmother waking at 4 and not being able to get back to sleep is not a malfunction of old age. Your teenager being physically unable to fall asleep before 1 in the morning is not laziness, and it is not the phone. Those are the two ends of a system. For most of human history, a group in which everybody slept soundly from dusk till dawn was a group that got picked off. Because something was out there. This is the part where I have to be careful, because it is easy to make prehistory sound like a horror film, and mostly it was not. But the specific danger of the specific hours between sunset and sunrise is real, and it is well evidenced. Leopards hunt at night, so do lions, more than people think, and our eyes are simply not built for it. We are a daylight animal wearing daylight equipment. Step away from your fire, and your vision does not just get worse. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to fully adjust to the dark. 20 minutes in which you are functionally blind. In the caves at Swartkrans in South Africa, there's a fossil brain case from a young human relative with 2 neat round punctures in it. When the paleontologist Charles Brain held a leopard's lower jaw against those holes, the canines fit. That individual did not die of old age. And this is worth sitting with for a second, because it is the actual texture of the experience. You are awake. Everyone you love is unconscious around you. The fire is down to embers, and you can see maybe 4 meters. Beyond that is a wall. You cannot see what is out there, but you can hear it. And every night of your life, you have been listening to it. And most nights it is nothing, and you never once get to assume that. And there is a cruel irony sitting inside the fire itself. The fire keeps things away and lets you see, but only inside its circle. Stare into a flame for an hour, and your night vision is gone. The thing protecting you is also the thing blinding you to everything past the light, which is exactly why it mattered that someone was always awake, and why the dark just past the fire has been the most reliably frightening place in human storytelling for as long as we have had stories. But we did not only sit in the dark and wait out. At some point, humans did something no other animal has ever done. We took the light with us, and we went further in. In 2021, a team led by Maria Angelis Medina Alcade rebuilt Paleolithic lighting from the archaeological evidence and took it into a real cave to find out how each type actually behaves. They tested 3 things: wooden torches, hollowed stone lamps burning animal fat, and small fireplaces. They turned out to be completely different tools. Torches throw light while you move, but burn out fast and need constant attention. A simple grease lamp with 1 wick lights about 3 meters in every direction steadily for a long time. Poor for walking, excellent for sitting still and working. Fireplaces light a whole chamber, but fill it with smoke and cannot be carried. Which means the people who went into those caves were not fumbling. They were choosing equipment for the job. Torch to get there, lamp to work by. And what they did once they got there, hundreds of meters underground, in a place with no day at all, was paint. Some of the greatest images our species has ever made were made in permanent darkness, by people who had to manufacture their own light to see what they were doing. And then there was the other thing in the dark, the thing we have almost entirely lost. If you have only seen the sky from a town, you have not seen it. With no light anywhere on Earth, the Milky Way is not a faint smudge. It is a bright, structured band with visible dark lanes running through it, and it moves predictably all night and all year. Every ancient human who ever lived had that overhead, every clear night for their whole life. So of course they used it. Australian Aboriginal astronomical traditions include a constellation made not of stars, but of the dark clouds between them, the emu in the sky. It's positioned through the year tracks when real emus are breeding and when to collect their eggs. That is not decoration. That is a calendar, a hunting guide, and a story, held in the sky where nobody can lose it. It is worth being honest here. We cannot read the minds of people 50,000 years dead, and some famous claims about Ice Age star calendars are much shakier than they're usually presented. But the general point stands and is not really disputable. A predictable pattern that everyone can see, that changes with the seasons, is the most useful thing an oral culture could possibly hang its knowledge on. And they had it every night. Then, eventually, the sky goes gray and the whole thing resets. So, what did ancient humans do all night? They stayed up about 3 hours past dark, which is longer than most people assume and shorter than a modern evening. They talked, and in talking they moved everything the group knew from one generation into the next. They slept a little less than you do, in a room with no door, in a rotation nobody designed. And a few of them, at any hour you care to name, were awake, watching the edge of the light. We tend to tell the story of human progress as a story of things: tools, fire, farming, wheels. But there's a case that the most consequential thing we ever did was simply refuse to shut down when the light failed. Every other animal surrenders the night. We took 3 hours of it back, sat down in a circle, and used those hours to become the only species that hands its entire mind to the next generation on purpose. And the strange ending is this: we won, completely. We flooded the night with light until the dark stopped being a place at all. You can read at 3 in the morning. Nothing is hunting you. But the thing the darkness was forcing us to do, sit still with the same people with nowhere else to be and nothing else to look at, and talk until something got passed on, that we did not keep. We abolished the night, and we threw out the fire circle with it. Most of us now spend those exact hours alone, lit up, looking at a rectangle. It is worth noticing what we reach for when the power goes out. Not productivity. People light a candle, sit closer together than they normally would, and start talking, and they will tell you afterwards, slightly embarrassed, that it was oddly nice. That is not nostalgia for something we imagined. That is a very old setting switching back on. The ancient humans were not sitting in the dark waiting for morning. They were doing the most human thing there is. And they only ever got to do it because, for a few hours every evening, there was nothing else they were allowed to do.